Now, if you've already created a macro that you'd like to attach to a button, it's actually a lot like attaching a macro to a form event. In other words, you need to know what you want to happen and when you want it to happen. So I've got a macro here that just opens the phone list report and throws a little message box that says, hey, congratulations. And this is something I built in a previous lesson here in my Northwind 2007 sample database. And I'd like to attach this macro to a command button on my customer details form. And I'm going to throw it right over here on the right-hand side. Now, this is kind of a funky little modal box. So what I need to do to pop this into design view is to right-click it and choose design view. Now, because we're in the expert access course, we're actually going to disable the control wizards because I'm going to show you a different way to do this. So I'm just going to click control wizards one time, disable it, and then from the controls group, go grab the command button, and it's just this command right here. We're going to draw a button right down here on my form. Perfect. And you can see all it says is command 255. There's no wizard that pops up. There's nothing that's going to walk me through it because I've disabled that. But I'm in the expert class. We can handle this. So everything's in the property sheet. I'm just going to open up the property sheet. I'm going to scroll to the right just to make sure I've got the right thing highlighted because command 255, let's face it, is not very descriptive. First thing I'm going to do is go to the All tab, and I'm going to change the name of this to CMD for command and then open customer report. That way I know what it means. I'm also going to change the caption. Now the caption is what the user sees right here. And I'm going to change that to view customer phone list. There we go. Click OK. Now once you click off of it here in properties, you'll see that change. And that'll tell you if you need to make this button maybe bigger. You can increase the font size. Okay, it works just like a text box, except it's an actual button. So there we go, view customer phone list. Now at this point, if I were to go into form view, which I'm going to do, this button actually doesn't do anything. I can sit here and click it all day, and nothing's going to happen. So this is where we now need to attach a macro to this button. And we need to do that in design view. So let's pop this up in design view. There we go. Come back to my button and select it. And we go right to the Event tab. Remember I said it was just like attaching a macro to a form, except this time we're attaching it to the actual command button. Now, when do you want the report to run? Do you want it to run when the button has focus? Do you want it to run when they double click? Well, typically when a user sees a button like this, they know to click one time. So I want my macro to run on click. So all I need to do, because the macro's already been created, hit the drop down arrow here and choose Open Phone List Report. Okay? Now, what are you going to do? You're going to save it, close it, and you're going to test it. So I'm just going to click this button. It says, congratulations, you've opened the report. It is here. It's just behind this little modal pop-up. In fact, if I close this, you can see that it's there. It's just that individual form doesn't open up as a tab, so it always appears on the top. So once again, let me close this phone list. I'll move this down so you can see. View customer phone list. Congratulations. And it opens it for me. Now, I could choose to send this directly to the printer and change it to print customer phone list, and we'll send it directly to the printer. And that's just in the macro arguments, the macro properties. And you already know how to change those, so I'm not going to take your time showing you how to do that. But it's really very simple. What you want to remember in design view is it's all in the properties. So you just select the object that you're attaching the macro to. Open the property sheet and then choose which event. In other words, that macro that checks customer name for null, we've attached it to the form and the before update property. We could attach it to the on lost focus property for this individual field, and it would do the same thing. The difference is, instead of getting the message when they try to go to a new record, the user would get the message the second they came out of the company field. So the event has a big part that it plays in when the macro is run. Well, I hope that you're more comfortable creating and running and using your macros now. We started section 5 with a look at creating macros, and we actually took quite a bit of time there to create macros from scratch, to create macros from form design view, and to actually troubleshoot through some of the common errors that popped up as I was doing it. Then we briefly looked at editing a macro, and that's just getting back into the macro in design view and making your changes. We wrapped up by attaching a macro to a command button and looking a little bit at the different events that you could attach the macro to.